Welcome to 26 for 26, a series where I talk about microgenres in film going through the alphabet. Today it gets exciting with H for Heist. Heist films have always been more than stylish stories about crime. Across decades, the genre has functioned as a cultural mirror, reflecting changing attitudes towards wealth, authority, and social order. From post-war anxieties to modern distrust of institutions, the evolution of the heist movie parallels shifts in socio-economic climates. In the 1950s, the heist film emerged in the shadow of post-war reconstruction and growing Cold War paranoia. Films such as Rififi portray meticulous criminals operating in a morally bleak world where trust is fragile and betrayal is inevitable. The famous silent robbery sequence reflects a fascination with precision and professionalism, but the film's bleak ending underscores a pessimistic worldview characteristic of post-war noir cinema. In societies recovering from wartime devastation, these films captured anxieties about stability and the fragility of social order. During the 1960s, economic expansion and cultural rebellion reshaped the tone of the genre. Heist films became stylish, playful, and sometimes celebratory of criminal ingenuity. A film like The Italian Job embodies the decade's rebellious spirit. The charismatic criminals, cheeky humor, and iconic Mini Cooper car chase reflect a broader cultural shift towards questioning authority and embracing counterculture attitudes. Rather than tragic figures, the thieves appear as charming anti-heroes, mirroring the era's skepticism towards rigid institutions and traditional hierarchies. The political disillusionment of the 1970s introduced a darker, more realistic tone. Economic crises, rising crime rates, and scandals such as Watergate eroded public trust in government and authority. Heist-adjacent films like Dog Day Afternoon depict crime not as glamorous rebellion, but as desperate acts born of social and economic pressures. The films focused on marginalized communities, particularly its protagonist's attempt to finance gender-affirming care for his partner, reflects the decade's engagement with social issues and the human consequences of systematic inequality. The 1980s marked another transformation shaped by the rise of neoliberal economic policies and a renewed cultural emphasis on individual ambition. Leaders such as Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher promoted deregulation, privatization, and free market ideology. Within this context, heist films increasingly portrayed criminals as highly specialized professionals operating with the logic of entrepreneurs. In Thief, the protagonist approaches burglary as a disciplined trade, complete with contracts, specialized tools, and strategic planning. The criminal becomes a mirror image of the era's idealized capitalist subject. Independent, efficient, and relentlessly focused on profit. At the same time, the film suggests that such ambition carries profound personal costs, subtly critiquing the decade's celebration of wealth and success. In the 1990s, the genre absorbed the aesthetics of globalization and late capitalist ambition. The decade's economic expansion and fascination with corporate power informed films like Heat. Here, professional criminals operate with a code of discipline that mirrors the corporate world they inhabit. The film's emphasis on professionalism, technology, and urban alienation reflects a society increasingly shaped by global markets and impersonal institutions. The criminal and the law officer appear almost interchangeable, suggesting that both operate within the same relentless system. By the early 2000s, the genre shifted toward spectacle and ensemble storytelling. Films such as Ocean's 11 present the heist as an elegant game rather than a moral crisis. Released at the beginning of the decade, marked by financial expansion and consumer culture, the film's tone is playful and confident. Its criminals target a massive casino operation, framing theft as a clever redistribution of wealth rather than a threat to society. This light-hearted approach reflects a pre-financial crisis moment when large institutions appeared powerful, but not yet widely distrusted. The financial upheaval of the late 2000s, however, profoundly reshaped cultural attitudes towards wealth and power. Following the 2008 financial crisis, public trust in banks and financial institutions declined sharply. Heist narratives in the 2010s increasingly reflected these tensions by framing robbery as a response to systemic injustice rather than greed. A striking example is Hell or High Water. In this film, two brothers rob banks across rural Texas in order to save their family's ranch from foreclosure. The story unfolds in economically devastated communities, marked by abandoned buildings, predatory lending, and widespread poverty. Within this environment, the heist becomes an act of desperate resistance against institutions perceived as exploitative and indifferent. The enduring popularity of the genre suggests that the heist story taps into a fundamental cultural tension: admiration for ingenuity and rebellion on the one hand, and anxiety about social order on the other. As economic inequality, technological change, and political distrust continue to shape modern societies, the heist film will likely remain a powerful cinematic form of exploring the moral complexities of its time. What is your favorite heist film? Let me know in the comments.